Hi everybody, back again. Just sort of bring you down to floor level so you can have a look at this. You might find it interesting. It's been on quite a few of my videos before, but I've never really talked about it, so let me just give you a quick overview. I'll flick you around. This is the scissor lift. They call it a mid-range scissor lift. Don't know what that means, but it basically can lift up 2.7 tons in a scissor lift operation using two hydraulic rams there, and pretty much ideal for a mini. It's got the scissor lift framework here, this zigzag, and then each side on these rails here you get this kind of like garage equipment-y rotating plates. There's 4 of them, 2 on the back and 2 on the front, and then you get these kind of little saddles which sit over the top with these kind of nylon circular pads. I got a few choices of these when they delivered it back in 2016, so I've had this 7 years, yeah, and you get different heights of these little sort of saddle pads. But these plates swing around on these big nuts, so it caters for different widths of cars and different lengths of cars. Yeah, so these plates slide forwards and backwards. They arc out in a radius to pick up different pickup points on the underneath of different cars. So yeah, there's loads of info online about these things. There's loads of them for sale on eBay. But like I say, I got this back in 2016 from a company up in St Helens, Merseyside, I think that is. SJR Garage Equipment or something. Not too sure whether they're still going, but you can pick up quite similar pieces of equipment from Auto Motec, and there's a company down London who are doing them. But look on eBay, you'll see them. I think this cost back in the day, 2016, about 1,100 quid. And I think they're now up to about between 1,300 and 1,500 pound. But for a small domestic workshop garage, really these are the way to go. The kind of £500–600 tilting ones are rubbish. The ones you have to wind up and down with a crank handle or a battery screwdriver are rubbish. They really are quite dangerous. Anything above this, and I know that, you know, it's a lot of money, but anything above this, you're really talking about one of the small squat 2-post lifts that you see in most traditional garages in the workshops there. All pros and cons. I like this one because it tucks away, it folds down into this hole in the floor. This one was called a special edition. I don't know how special it was. It was called special edition because of it being narrower than normal. They class this one as 900mm wide. The hole in the floor I've got here is about 930, and the hole in the floor is about 2.2 metres long. So that's the kind of the footprint of it. But obviously, as it goes up in the air with the scissor action, it does become narrower, or not as long rather, as it goes up. But yeah, about 900 wide. But I think a lot of these are about 1.80 m, getting on for 1.1 metres wide. So just check how wide the one you might consider purchasing is. I'm not saying the normal wider ones aren't suitable for a mini, but this just does seem to suit the width of the car a little bit better. So yeah, so that's what it is. They're They're single phase. They work on these two hydraulic rams there. There's lockout, safety lockout, so when it lowers down, it ratchets into different safety stops. I've buried the pipe under the floor, and it comes out there and comes to this control unit, which is a simple turn it on, press the button to set the hydraulics in motion, and it lifts the table up. I'll show you that in action in a minute. And then when you want to come to lower it down, you have to release the hydraulic pressure down here with this little switch. Yeah, that just, you press that in, and to bypass the lockouts on the lift itself, you hold this cable. That cable pulls the lockouts out from the framework and allows the lift to drop all the way back down to the floor till it's flat. So that's a simple bit of kit. Up and down, up on the hydraulics and down under its own weight, just releasing the hydraulic pressure. Dead simple. One hydraulic pipe, mains power, and this brake cable type thing which releases the lockout so it doesn't keep hitting the stops as it comes down. So yeah, nice bit of kit, mid-range money, even though it's still quite expensive, but much better than the cheaper tilty alternatives. You're wasting your money on them. Not as expensive as the possible 1800, £2,000 two-post lifts. No bolting down to the floor, but the reason I've buried it in this little raised floor here is because I couldn't drive the Mini over the top of it. The Mini's so low. Maybe it's the 10-inch wheels, I don't know. Maybe 13-inch wheels are a bit different, but I doubt it. Things started clanking into the steel on the lift and causing me concern. So I created this false floor and just set it in there on the concrete. Originally I did have little timber plinths I used to drive onto or push the car onto, which wasn't ideal, especially if you drive the car off the edge as I did once, which wasn't clever. So yeah, I'll show you this in action. I'll probably do that in the next video, because the next video will be about can we lower the car down onto the 1400 micro engine. It's pretty much almost assembled. Calipers are missing and track rod ends are missing, but I've pretty much built that up in its entirety, and it's got to go up into that gap. It needs to slide past the steering rack, so it'll probably brush against these there as these towers come up. And anybody who knows these subframes, it's the twin bolt solidly mounted, so I've got no flexibility. These have got to go up precisely where the holes in the cross member are going to be going. So two holes there are going to line up pretty perfectly. The two the other side are going to line up pretty perfectly. Where it hits the tailboard on the front, 2 holes there and 2 holes the other side. I've got a hip bang on. These subframes don't have the separate mounting bracket, and then hopefully 2 holes on the front here, one there on the other side. I've got a line through with those holes in there, wherever they are. It's not so much that the subframe is supported off the mini shell. It's more the other way around, to be honest. The shell is supported off the subframe, but basically most of the load on these things goes through the tailboard and through the turrets. That's why you see a lot of brace bars on flip fronts and things, just to support the front of the car. But yeah, that's what's got to happen. That's what's got to go up. It's got to slide past these inner wings, or what's left of them, and it's got to slide past the rack. It's got to slide up the bulkhead, and it's got to slide up exactly correctly, because there's no slack in these 4 bolts on the turrets. Really, you've got to line it bang on. I've done it as best I can off the floor. I've marked the floor to show me roughly where the trolley's got to go in position. I've tried to angle the subframe as best I can. It's supported on this block of wood at the back, and I've anchored it down by these sort of little nuts and bolts there. These cut couch screws into the wood so the thing doesn't move around on the trolley. So yeah, subframe is kind of semi-secure on the trolley. It's at the right angle, so it should go up, sliding past stuff. It's probably scratching paint off and trying to miss brake pipes and battery cable and stuff like that. So let's see the scissor lift in action. Whether it be an epic fail, oh god, if I can get up, whether it'll be an epic fail. Let's see if the scissor lift can lower the car down onto the engine. But what I have done is, coming around the back, safety in mind, I've strapped the back of the car down onto the lift, because my concern is I'll attach the engine and the subframe on the front. I'll go to lift the shell back up with the engine and subframe attached, and the whole thing will just come toppling off these nylon pads, because suddenly there'll be a lot of weight on the front past this pivot point here where it's resting on, flicking the back up in the air, and yeah, that wouldn't be good. So let's see how we get on. Be in the next video. Keep watching. Take care.